Hello, Warren.
Hello, Roy.
Hello, Warren. I think, you know what? It was only appropriate because of the episode title that we're discussing tonight. All right, everybody, back to your stations.
We're definitely in a space warp.
That could have been more appropriate, Warren.
It sort of reminds me of another call we were on last week, Roy.
Yeah, really. Oh, man.
Oh, well, hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're at in the universe. Welcome to Space 1999, this episode.
Yes, and thank you for joining us. 7 o'clock Eastern time in the U.S. on the East Coast. And we're very excited to be discussing what some have labeled this episode as actually episode number 15. Growing up, I always refer to it as episode 16 because of the Alpha Technical Notebook. But as of late, I've been seeing it being listed as 15. However, it is a double up episode. It is one of the double ups. And just to give everybody the ITC summary, if you haven't guessed, with all the publicity we've been giving this and also our exchange that Warren and I just had, Eagle One gets lost in space. And if that isn't enough, Moonbase Alpha has problems of its own when Maya's ability to transform herself into any living entity goes out of control. And we are, of course, talking about the year 2 episode, Space Warp.
Space Warp. What a fun episode. I can't wait to dive into this one, Roy. I think both you and I have been looking forward to this for a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of stories to tell. And we are joined by a very special guest today as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll bring on first-time presenter or co-host, Mr. B.K.On-the-air. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on tonight. It's a show near and dear to my heart, so I'm glad to be able to come on and talk about it.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, BK. We are very excited to have you on, and we're very excited to be discussing this episode. As Warren was saying, it's one that it's a fun episode. I mean, it has a lot to discuss, and we're happy you can join us.
We mentioned ITC earlier. I knew that whenever the ITC logo would come up and spin on television, I knew that I was in for a good time because as a kid, it was going to be either Space 1999, The Muppet Show, or The Prisoner. So I knew I was in for a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was 1 and 3, and it's funny you mentioned that. Just as an aside about the Muppets, there's a lot going on in the Star Trek universe this week with Muppets, of course. But
I saw that. Yeah,
we'll save that one for another discussion.
Right. Comedy episode.
Have you, just before we dive into this, have you guys seen that episode yet?
No, I have not. No, not yet. I'm behind on a lot.
Yeah, I actually did. And no spoilers here, but I am actually just going to say this. I went in very negative to that episode, and I really enjoyed it. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Well said. So, BK, listen, you've got a long history yourself with all things Space 1999. How did you discover the series way back when? What were some of your first thoughts and memories of it?
Well, way back when, I come from like a divorced family. My mom and dad got a divorce growing up, and sister and I, we were basically kind of latchkey kids growing up in the 70s. And on the way home from school on the bus, I would always try my best to get every bit of my homework done on the way home, because I had to get that done, because I had appointments at home with friends like my buddy Gilligan, Captain Kirk, all the shows, the Space Giants, the Japanese shows, the animation shows that would come on. I had TV to watch. I didn't have time to do that homework. I'll do it on the bus. So just watching Space 1999 happened to be one of those shows. And I grew up in Northeast Alabama on top of a mountain called Lookout Mountain. So our antenna would pick up TV stations from Huntsville, Alabama, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Atlanta, Georgia. So it was almost like I had cable TV before it was cable television. Just turn the antenna and I could see 5 more stations from another city. So WXIA Channel 11 in Atlanta would show Space 1999, and Channel 31 out of Huntsville would show it. And different times. Sometimes, mostly it was Saturday nights at midnight was one of the times that would come on. So I had to get back up out of bed and see it. But interestingly enough, season 2 of Space 1999 is my favorite season of the seasons. Now, I know a lot of people prefer season 1. I know Martin Landau certainly preferred season 1 when you read interviews with him, but I saw season 2 first. They were that's when I started. So when it went to season 1, I'm like, wait, what happened here? I don't recognize one of these characters, and it looks all different. So I guess maybe that's why it's my favorite season. It's a little more humor, a little more adventure, and a little more, the sets were a little condensed, and the costumes looked a little better. The uniforms they had the jackets and stuff. So Fred Freiberger gets a bad rap for season 2. I think the guy had a thankless job doing Star Trek season 3. He was told to take a show and slash the budget and make it work. Well, what else could he do? There are some good episodes of the 3rd season of Star Trek. There are. Yep. And season 2 of Space 1999 is nowhere near as bad as some people say it is. I kind of like season 2. So you picked an episode 2 that I like. So I'm a big fan of the show. It's my second favorite sci-fi series next to Star Trek, the original series. So there you go.
Well, I think we're in for an interesting chat and conversation here then, BK, over the next hour, because you just hit quite a few bullet points that I think Roy and I are both in agreement with. There were some nice changes in season 2, right? And having this view and opinion from yourself of it's actually the preference. I think there's a number of people that I know that I could list right off the top of my head that saw season 2 first, and that's their passion, right? And
I did not dislike season 1. I mean, it was much more cerebral and so serious and very 2001 like, and had those lofty ideas, but it was very different. But I mean, and I think they reran season 2 more in my market. I don't think they reran season 1 as much, because even the older shows like Gilligan's Island or Lost in Space, sometimes they would only rerun the color episodes of those shows. They didn't want to rerun the black and whites in syndication in some markets. So that's why that happens sometimes.
Lost in Space suffered from that. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea suffered from that, unfortunately. But the one difference being, Voyage had 4 seasons, so it wasn't as impactful. And then also with Lost in Space, I mean, there was 3 seasons, as we all know.
And that's 2 shows where the black and white seasons are the better ones, in my opinion. The early shows of those are the best. Yes.
No, definitely. And unfortunately, with 1999, and I think that's what kept it out of the syndication market, because after it went off the air, went out of production, I mean, it was shortly thereafter, at least here in the East Coast, Channel 11 and Channel 17, 11 WPIX out of New York ran it probably up until about 1978. And WPHL out of Philadelphia, Channel 17, ran it around the same time. But then, unfortunately, and it was even in the Starlog magazine, too, our friend David Hirsch, who did Jerry Anderson's Space Report, used to give, bi-monthly updates about the show and everything, and just about how, the cost of syndication and everything, when you only have 48 episodes and to run them 5 days a week, it's just really not going to work. I mean, we were very fortunate with Star Trek in the 1970s, right. And that's what really put, Star Trek really propelled it to the next level in 1972, 73 when it went into syndication. And 1999, unfortunately, didn't have that luxury, and it suffered as a result of that. And it wasn't until, the release of the DVDs and then the Blu-rays that it really got a resurgence. And if you were fortunate enough to have copies of the episodes, maybe from, videotaping them, I had a handful of those, from like 1979, 1980. And then also later in the 80s, you would find different videos available, through different markets, I'll say. And if you were fortunate enough to get copies of those, then, you could kind of like, still enjoy the show. But for me personally, I was always relying on my audio tapes that I did in the 70s when the show was being broadcast. That was my pretty much our go-to.
Well, that's interesting, Ray, because even in the late 80s, a new VHF station launching in Atlanta, Channel 69, they were searching for programming, and they would show Space 1999 in syndication even in as late as 1989.
Wow.
Back to back with UFO, believe it or not.
Wow.
But they had really bad faded tinted copies though of them, and they were really bad. And that's the ones I taped in the late 80s that I would have videotapes of. So it's interesting you'd say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, the only thing I was going to say is there was a time where they brought a couple episodes back sporadically. I remember in '83. It's crazy how we remember the dates. They ran Full Circle on Channel 11, and when they ran it, there was like a green tint to the episode. And my friend, who's actually co-host on Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner, Ross Amico, I was like, Ross, can you do me a favor? Can you please videotape this episode? And he got it for me. And and then they reran The Bringers of Wonder Part 1 and Part 2. And was fortunate enough to get that, but otherwise it just was not showing in the East Coast. On 11/17 was not picking it up. Channel 9 out of Secaucus, New Jersey would run UFO. That was the go-to for that, and that was in a different market.
And you might be lucky to get that videotape copy of Bringers of Wonder season 1, episode 1 and 2 that was melded together for that movie that they bring out. You could get that good copy of that too.
Right, not the actual movie, but yeah, they did it just on their own. They had the forethought to edit it together as one piece, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Yeah.
I was just going to mention, guys, that funnily enough, up here in Canada, so what happened is. Roy, you mentioned how you were, maybe collecting episodes on VHS and things like that. And I was trading back and forth with fans as well. And I actually, Space Warp was one of the last episodes I saw again for the first time in the 80s, if you will, because a station did rebroadcast it, but they didn't include Breakaway, War Games, the 8 episodes that were in the compilation films.
Right.
Those were pulled from syndication. So I managed to get everything else at one point, from various sources. But Space Warp was like one of the last ones I saw, again, for the first time in the 80s. And I was blown away. It was, I mean, what an incredible effect sequence right off the bat here, guys.
It sounds like we all love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Warren, that you're mentioning that. I remember seeing Space Warp, and it had to be during the summer, because I remember I grew up in a town very close by to where I live now in Lopakong, New Jersey, and my parents lived in an apartment. And at the time, you were allowed to cook on the patio and everything, and we had a grill. And I remember my dad was cooking, and in the background on the TV was Space Warp, and I remember distinctly watching that episode. And it had to be during either spring or summer, probably the summer when that was going on, and it just probably the summer of '77. It was probably after they ran it the first time, because I don't recall seeing it when it was originally ran the first, but it was just still in repeats. But it's amazing how different things from different shows really just stick with us, and we remember the broadcasts, and again, it is such a fun episode.
Well, being on different podcasts, sometimes I've noticed when I'm on with different folks like you guys, Warren and Roy, we may all be from completely different parts of the country, but we all grew up watching almost the same thing, which is great to share, like we're doing right now as older guys. So I think it's really cool.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Warren, we have a lot of folks out there that are joining us.
You just read my mind, like, holy, the number of viewers tonight. Thank you to everybody. Of course, I tweaked a couple things on the old Facebook there. And if you guys do hear anything, I have a wonderful puppy dog here in the background. He might be whining a little bit because he wants to go for a walk, but we'll try and keep him at bay here over the next hour.
I love dogs. I got one here myself.
So, but no, you're absolutely right, BK. And Roy, I knew right away when I reached out to you, BK, that Roy would really appreciate everything that you do on your own shows and podcasts, because say what you will, we are all of us very much rooted in the 1970s, right? And from Beverly Hillbillies to the Love Boat to and on and on and on. It's Dukes of Hazzard. It's that was a wonderful time for television.
Hey, Fred Freiberger worked on the Dukes of Hazzard too.
Yeah, there you go.
I still have my Space 1999 lunchbox from junior high. I still have it. So I still got it out there. It's in the garage somewhere. I know it's out there.
No, awesome. Yeah, Roy, just comments real quick here. We could do a half a show just on comments here today. Let's start off with Simon. Excellent model work in the episode. But is the pink perspex pixie alien with laryngitis a series low? Well, I don't know, Simon. I will say that I prefer the voice in the actual episode as opposed to what they overdubbed in Cosmic Princess.
Yeah,
for sure.
But,
it could have been worse. Could have been. They could have tried to do the grasshopper, and that might have been a disaster. So, I think it worked
referred to as that's kind of.
I think the lizards from New Adam, New Eve were the series low for me.
Here's a friend of mine, Nostalgic Pod Blast. That's my buddy Chance.
You know what?
Yeah.
And I was going to say another podcast out there that chimed in for the first time. Hello and welcome, and a friend of BK's. That makes perfect sense. Then that's
great.
Chance. Nostalgic Pod Blast. I love it. Hi from Atlanta's Top Space 1999 fans. I have a pretty vast collection. Welcome. And yeah, we really appreciate your support.
Chance has a pretty big collection of everything. You should see his room.
Nothing wrong with that. That's really, really cool. I see James is out there too. Hey, James, welcome. Good to see you out there. He's joining us from Australia.
Yeah. Hello, my friend. Jeff Rubel's out there. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Jeff. He's joining us from Utah. Welcome, Jeff. Good to see you out there.
Christopher Michael Dalton from Kentucky.
Hey, Chris.
Boy. And Lars. Lars is over in the UK, I believe.
Yes. Hey, Lars.
And a couple of special friends. Here's Nancy. Hi, Nancy. And Art.
Joining us from Canada.
Art and David.
Hey, Dave.
Just passing through. Dinner's cooking. We'll try and get back to you if you're still on. I like Space Warp. A great action romp. With the best effects of the series. Absolutely, David. Yeah. No arguments there.
I'm going to agree with that. I mean, guys, just the scene in the launch bay storage area where they keep the Eagles alone, which they never did again, was some of the best miniature effects work I've ever seen, and it was just great.
Yeah, we were privy. We got a little sneak peek in the Metamorph, the opening episode of year 2, when they were putting the spine boosters onto Eagle 4, which incidentally, which a lot of folks out there know is my ultimate favorite Eagle. I mean, that is just like so iconic and just so sleek and cool. But we got to see that, and really after that, I mean, more in the first season, Breakaway, obviously, that was we had a showcase with that, Earthbound, when with the Caldorian spaceship. But to your point, this was the only time really they did do some effects in the Seance Spectre where we got to see the underground. There was some effects that were reused of the Eagle going down on the elevator, but it was so cool. And we get to see the Rescue Eagle, which we really hadn't seen since the Metamorph, which is in the background. They never used it as far as in flying sequences throughout the year 2.
Derek Meddings was amazing on UFO and went on to work on Bond, but Brian Johnson's work on Space 1999, and then Brian went on to work on Empire Strikes Back and Alien, a lot of other things. And these guys they didn't have computers to work with, and they did exactly what they needed to do. And those effects some of them are still great today. They really
practical special effects.
I saw Alien in a re-release on Halloween about 5 years ago in Atlanta at the Fox Theater. It was one of its anniversary releases. I can't remember what it was for. And it was on the big screen. And I'm like, you realize I'm looking at the Nostromo and all these things and these models on the big screen, and it still looks fantastic even to this day.
Incidentally, I just saw Aliens because Aliens is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year.
Yeah,
and July 18th was the anniversary date, and they were showing it locally at the movie theater. And in fact, it was the special edition. And I did what you did, and I went to see it in the movie, and it just to be in the sitting there, and I'm thinking, my God, it's been 40 years since I saw this on the big screen. and the majority of those effects still hold up to today. I mean, Brian was
Yeah.
a wizard, and we miss him so much too.
Cameron, we talked about on the radio a couple of like last month. Cameron is thinking about releasing Aliens in the theater in 3D. He's going to 3D it. And if any movie can lend itself to 3D, Aliens would do it. I mean, it would be kind of interesting to see that. So in the new way that they do 3D now, without having to have the goofy glasses to watch it, you have the other one. So yeah, it might be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know about that. That's great to hear.
Very cool. Very cool. Of course, Roy and I in the last couple of weeks everybody in the community has seen the announcement of over in the UK, they're going to be presenting Breakaway and Metamorph in cinemas.
I'm so jealous.
In the new 4K release. Yeah. So for everybody over there, what a wonderful treat that's going to be at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. I'd love to see that. That'd be a long distance ticket for me, though. It's almost worth it, though. But we're getting the Star Trek movies with some episodes next month in the theater for its 60th anniversary.
I heard that.
So, yeah.
Starting on Friday, the 4th of September. Star Trek the motion picture, and then they're going to do the motion picture, Star Trek 2, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4. They're going to do it the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and then they're going to run all 4 of them on the 8th for the 60th anniversary.
And the first 4 will be accompanied by an episode of the show in 4K, the old original series that corresponds kind of with the movie. Yes, they are. Doing like 1999. Yeah,
the Changeling for the motion picture. They're doing obviously Space Seed for Wrath of Khan. They're doing Enough Time for the Star Trek 3, and then for Star Trek 4, they're doing The City on the Edge of Forever, which
time travel. Yeah.
Okay, now it all makes sense, guys. I'm going to go let my puppy dog outside. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. Yeah, so very excited about that. That's coming out. Especially being a huge original series Star Trek fan like yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know that you guys are the Space 1999 experts. I mean, I love it. I did love the show, but I know that there are some things like we mentioned earlier about the how the alien in Space Warp that talks to them on the screen he's pretty creepy with the whispering voice and the odd headdress that he's got on, and the way they would shoot him close up in this weird way. And it was a little discerning as a kid, me watching it. I don't even want to get into the tentacle creature that was killing him in the first episode when Tony Trelawney was. I don't want to even talk about that one. That one scarred me nightmares for years.
You,
on that one.
Warren, myself, and probably every other 50 plus 60 person in our age range that watched that show. We all have our stories, and we've talked about that on here. And it's amazing how when people hear Space 1999, they generally think of Breakaway. They think of Dragon's Domain. Right.
Dragon's Domain. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Scary. I mean, it was
very scary.
I just think that, like I said earlier, they still refer to him as Grasshopper in the credits, if you notice. And I got it here somewhere. The actor that played him. What's his name? I know I had it on here somewhere. Yeah, Andrew Lodge. That's his name. Andrew Lodge was playing him, and I think had they went ahead and tried to do a Grasshopper, it might have come off as more silly. Not that they wouldn't have tried, but I think it might have been a silly effect. And you doing this was just as effective. So I thought it was great.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Roy, just out of curiosity, you might know this off the top of your head. I don't, unfortunately. And in full transparency, who directed Space Warp? Oh, God! Wait. I know. Our friend, Mr. Peter Maddock, that we met last year. And Space Warp is so unique visually and stylistically, just like Seance Spectre, right?
He's a great director.
He's a wonderful director, and I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to interview him at the convention last year in Los Angeles. And Seance Spectre is one of my favorite episodes of year 2. And I always said I wish that episode had been a 2-parter, because there was so much more that they could have explored. And to Warren's point, it was a visual extravaganza. I mean, he took every opportunity to do unique camera angles, which he does do in this episode as well, but I think he took it to the next level in the Seance Spectre. I mean, his use of the full Eagle cockpit was just one thing that comes to mind. Different angles within Command Center when they're go after they go through the space warp. He kind of shoots up from the desk. Just very artistic and wonderful to speak to, and he's done a lot of stuff.
I'm glad you got to talk to him. That was great.
Oh, he was amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
he did a tracking shot of Koenig walking down the corridor of the alien ship in space warp, and pulls the camera back and follows him from the floor, and it's just an amazing shot as well.
Yeah.
He's really good at that.
Yeah, but even BK, like you said, with the alien, right? I mean, just the way he shot it, he's like pulling into it, right? And it kind of, after a few seconds, it is a very, very funny effect and sort of off-putting. But I will say that I think the other thing he did with Space Warp is to do with the lighting. And one of the reasons I like it so much is that he used that pinkish red lighting throughout the episode, which was very unique to year 2, but it gave it an entirely different feel and atmosphere, right? It's so, I mean, Peter's a genius.
It worked to the advantage of the episode because it made it that much more creepier. Because if everything had been bright throughout the whole episode, it just would have taken it sets the tone for everything that's going to happen with Maya terrorizing the base, them trying to stop the creature, everything that's happening. And then it's only appropriate at the very end, when Alan says, we got full power again.
Red has a color that has a sense of urgency to it too. If something's red lit up, something's wrong. And he directed a movie called The Changeling with George C. Scott. He's directed a lot of movies, but The Changeling I saw in the theater as a kid, and that one always stuck with me. And another great directorial effort by him is that movie, and a lot of others.
He talked about the filming of that too, and how he really had to get through to George C. Scott as far as being a director, and he really stuck to his guns. And then they kind of bump fists, but in the end it all worked out.
I've always heard that's the case with George, with just about everybody, but I think it was because George always wanted to approach the material and to be the best that it could be, and then he came off as being kind of hard to work with. So there was a dual personality there for that. So yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Hey, I see Alexa's out there. Hey, Alexa, thanks for joining us. She said, yes, it should have been a 2-part episode in regards to the Seance Spectre. I think
so many people out there. Missy's out there. Sherry was saying hi, Roy.
I missed. Hey, hon, good to see you out there. And there's Missy. Missy saying, me too, Nancy. I saw Star Trek the Animated Series first, had only started reading the novels for Trek when watching the first year of 1999. Several years later, they began doing Trek in syndication after school. Will always love the 1999 effects.
I agree with Missy. I saw the animated series first before I saw the show. I certainly did. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
You saw that before you saw Star Trek?
I did. Set 1974 on NBC. I was watching it, and then I later found out, oh, look, there's a live action show of this cartoon that I've been watching. And Mom's like, no, that was the show first, and this is the cartoon of the show. I'm like, oh, okay. Great.
Yeah. I actually caught Trek. The original series was in 70. I started watching it around 72, 73, and it was before the animated. Well, the animated show debuted in, interesting enough, September 8th, 1973, the same date as the original series premiered on NBC in the US. I know our Canadian friends got it a day or two earlier back in 1966.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
We hear about that. But no, that's interesting that you got to see it in the going the other way. So that's like with 1999, you saw your 2 first and then your 1.
I just watch everything out of order. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I still watch it. I still discover it though, which is good. You guys, I know I had some bullet points that I had just to remind myself, because if I don't do that, I'll forget them. But I guess you guys are also going to talk about, I knew you weren't going to miss this, was the all the reused props in Space Warp that were in other episodes of the show. Especially our little device that helps them at the end that looks like the giant microscope, that they're using.
Oh,
my goodness, the large microscope. It was in Seed of Destruction. The Beta Cloud, they used it in Bringers of Wonder Part 1. The Lambda Factor, the Seance Spectre, Dorzak, and the Immunity Syndrome. That prop was in every one of those episodes, including Space Warp.
Yeah, they actually used it in Devil's Planet too, because Koenig uses it when he's going.
That's right. That's the one I forgot. Yeah,
as the scanner, and he's saying little colored dots that could be human beings.
Right.
Was that a series low?
Hey, I see Darren Peters is out there. Darren, the owner of Eagle 3. Welcome, Darren.
Hey, buddy.
Darren owns owns
Of course, the
44
episode
inch
where Maya flies Eagle 3 in the underground hangar. Yeah, absolutely, Darren. Yeah, that's wow. What an amazing.
I found out what that thing was too. By the way, it's a Osma brand plumbing pipes. It's made out of and Osma is a leading UK brand of plastic plumbing, soil, and drainage systems, and they're still in business today in the UK that they use to make that prop out of. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. If you look
I knew
really
y'all
close,
appreciate
you can
that.
tell. Yeah. Funny. Hey, the one thing I was going to mention about the hangar sequence, guys, and I know we're going to. Oh, there was Sherry. We're going to get lots of traction out of this, but you mentioned Breakaway and Earthbound in year one where we saw the hangar, Roy, and the one thing, as BK said, that Brian did and his team was just use tricks. Tricks of the trade when it comes to force perspective and cutouts, in the background where you see multiple eagles. But the thing that I think differentiates Space Warp is that they just knocked it out of the park was the sense of true sheer scale. Yeah. Right when that eagle starts to flip over and rolls right into the frame of the camera, it's just like, oh my God, it's just like nothing had ever been or since.
And I'm going to share some images from the episode just to remind the viewers. Now, these are not in high def, folks, so I apologize. I wanted to, just to share these, just to give you an idea. But if you haven't, what you can do is you can go to Space 1999 Catacombs of the Moon. Martin does the site. Our friend Martin Willie, and Martin Wiley. And also, what you can do is you can actually click into the individual episodes, and you can see these in high definition, and they're wonderful to see. But just to give you an idea, and just to remind everybody.
Yeah, they really upped their game with the hangar sequence this episode. They'd done some fine work previous to this, right? And even the shot in Metamorph, like you mentioned, Roy, when they're putting the boosters on. But I mean, this was just like, this was cinematic in every sense. Right?
It was. I mean, this is the real thing.
That shot right there. Yeah.
There's Eagle 2, Warren.
Yeah.
And Warren, you mentioned earlier about mostly season 1, they would use those shots. And you could tell there were cutouts of the eagles because they'd go away from the camera, come toward it, and they wouldn't really change angle. It looked like someone had cut out a picture of it, and it was coming through the screen or going away from the screen. I don't think they used any cutouts in season 2. I think they're all just complete 3D in the studio or whatever model shots of the eagles. I didn't see any of those cutout scenes in season 2, unless I'm mistaken.
No, I think you're right about that. I don't recall any either, and I haven't heard anything as far as anything that we've missed. It was something, to Warren's point, that was something that was utilized a lot. The one that immediately comes to mind too is Missing Link, when they were doing because
they didn't have a second 44-inch built yet. Right.
It wasn't until The Last Sunset that they actually got that. They got Eagle 2. So no, that's a great point, BK, about that. Mark is out there. Mark Anthony Craig, our friend from the UK, he said, "You should all thank yourselves as lucky because my ITV region wouldn't show year 2. I had to make do with an off-air audio recording of Space Warp and many other year 2 episodes I had never seen that were sent to me by a fellow fan fortunate enough to live in another region in the late 1970s. So I could hear the soundtrack, but had to wait until 1983 to see the visuals when I finally got to see the episode being broadcast." Yeah.
Wow.
We talked about that, how a lot of us, Roy, yourself included, used to record the audio on cassette.
I still have the original of the Metamorph when I recorded that in September of 1976, and I dated the tape. And I remember rushing to get home with my parents. We were visiting my grandparents, and we were in New York City, and we were like 45 minutes away. And I kept bugging my mom. I said, "Are we going to be going home?" And she was kind of getting a little upset with me because we were with my grandparents. And I was like, but Space 99 is going to be premiering.
We liked even having the Peter Pan Power records, I mean, even having those was great. Give me some Space 1999 that I can't have yet because the VCRs aren't around yet.
Oh, too funny. Yeah. And all the merch from the show from the 70s was, I think, near and dear to all of us, like the RCA soundtrack, of course, the eagle, of course, the dinky eagles, as well as
the green one.
Yeah.
BK, did you have a model eagle?
Hell Eagle. That's the one I was going for. Yeah.
Wow. There are 2 coveted toys I have in my life that I never got. The Space 1999 Eagle was one of them, and the Death Star playset from Star Wars. Those are the two things I never got that I always envied from other kids that they had them. And, I wanted one badly.
Yeah.
I had the Dinky Enterprise, though, the Dinky Metal Enterprise. I had that one. So, but that was about it.
Wow. Yeah.
Loved
Now,
it. I wanted
Christmas of 1976 was a special Christmas. That was the big Christmas present that year, and it's so interesting to hear about all the kids that remember that year. We're all in that age range, but that was really special. I was ecstatic when I woke up and I saw that. Like, yeah.
Wow.
Warren, you didn't have that though in Canada, right?
They didn't distribute the Mattel in Canada or the UK, so it was a US exclusive. Right. And that's where a couple of years ago in London, when we teamed up with the Anderson store and Zika to unveil the repop, if you will, of the Eagle 1976. It's gone over like incredibly well and sold all over the world. And it was like you said, BK, it was like the Ark of the Covenant when it comes to Space 1999 collecting.
It was. I think the 80s kids, their Ark of the Covenant, I'm finding out, is the aircraft carrier from G.I. Joe. Remember that thing? That's the ones the 80s kids wanted. And I did have the bubblegum trading cards of Space 1999. I had all of those. I did get a hold of those. But there wasn't, the figures were out. Some things were out. But you just didn't get any toy you wanted when you were a kid like we can buy today. Your parents had to get it. So I was at my mercy of my mom. So I got the lunchbox. That's what I got.
Cool. Yeah, the Dunruss, the Dunruss cards. There were 6
Dunruss cards. Yeah, absolutely.
Only season 1 though. They were only season one. That's fine.
I know.
That's fine. Yeah.
It's a shame. It was some really cool. I remember when I first saw the Comlocks, card number 5, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!" And they're green. They're green in the photo. I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, they were really strangely colored.
Can we just say the show had some of the best designed lasers you've ever seen? I'm like, I know it looked like a staple gun, but no one had ever made it. All the guns looked like ray guns back then, or phasers. Yeah. None of them had that shape, and they were very unique.
And this episode, speaking of which, we actually get to see a close-up of the Selector. One of the few times we do get to see that in Space 1999. The year 1 gun and the year 2 one are distinctively different, but we get a close-up of the Selector. This is one of the few times I think we see Tony having it on kill in the immunity syndrome. And there's also reference. Oh, and the Bringers of Wonder. Koenig finds, the gun after he stuns a security guard. He picks it up and they do a tight shot on it, and he said it was set to kill. But those are really the only episodes that we really get to see it in year 2. And this is the hero that they use for that.
Great design.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great design.
Yeah, iconic again, and it, part of our childhood, right? It just you see that, and it was so ingrained, to go out to the garage and pick up Dad's staple gun and start shooting staples all over and catch.
Did you do that too?
I used to build them out of Legos. I built a Comlock out of Lego, and then there was like this one little this piece that was almost like it would go on like a hinge, and then what I was able to do is I was actually able to connect it to my belt.
You guys are great. Brilliant. If you were here in the room with me, I'd high five both of you. That was fantastic.
Yes, that's absolutely.
All the blisters, we got to see all the 4 beams come out of it once. That was kind of cool to see that, and all the blisters. That was
and the internal workings of
that was cool.
The laser as well. Yeah,
that was pretty awesome. Chase was saying in regards to the full circle. Yes, that's actually the first time we got to see the Selector in season 1. Another time we got to see it was in the Testament of Arcadia as well too, when Anna Davis sets it from kill to stun, and then she stuns the 2 security guards that are watching over the storage area for the food.
That's great.
Alexis chiming in saying we need a Lego Eagle. Here.
I used to build those out of it was a big box out of Legos, and I would actually have the command module, and I'd have sliding doors so that the people could go into the back area. And I have the Eagle door that would slide because they were like Lego pieces that were not, they didn't have the whatchamacallit, like the bumps. They were like literally smooth. And what I would do is I would actually use that to create the sliding doors to be able to close the eagle doors. You're bringing back memories, Alexa, talking about the Lego Eagle.
I don't know if it was Peter Medek's idea or not, but can we talk about the sequence of actually going through the space warp and the camera angles and all the turning and the twisting and stuff, and the light, the lens flares and stuff? Some people may think that's hokey, but in 1976 or 75, I think it worked, and I never had a problem with that. I felt very disoriented. I'm like, wow, they must have went through something. Look at that, and I thought it was impressive, to be honest. I liked it.
I agree. It's very effective, right, for the time, and in-camera effects like that. Again, they're not as creative nowadays. I feel with everything to do with computers and CGI. It's so flat and boring and mundane and. I love anything in camera like that. There we go. Simon's chiming in too. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting when you watch those in-camera effects too. And you're right. They totally work for that effect. A lot of times from shows, Star Trek, this happened a lot in Star Trek, where there would be like a reverse image. You'd see the insignia on the different side. Their hair is parted on the other side. When they're doing that whole sequence, it is reversed at times. If you watch it closely, you'll see that it's a different angle of command center, and Alan looks like he's in the reverse. It happens quick, but it's something that, because the way they were processing the film. But if you haven't caught that, definitely check it out.
Also, Roy, that from a director standpoint, I've talked to some folks and interviewed many people over the years. And a lot of directors will be shooting a show, and I don't know if it was the case on Star Trek or Space 1999, but they'll have a shot of an actor, but they at the time filmed him facing the wrong way. So in post, they would flip the image sometime to make him look like he's looking the right way. That might have been the case sometimes, but when you have something like an insignia or a patch on their shirt, it's going to interfere. You're going to go, oh, look at that. That's his backward shot. So sometimes that was the case. Sometimes, believe it or not.
For the original series of Star Trek, the one that comes immediately to mind is The Enemy Within, when Kirk is confronting himself on the bridge at the very end, and they're both wearing the wraparound tunic, and the evil Kirk is trying to act like the good Kirk, and the good Kirk confronts him, and they're basically doing exchanges back and forth, and the evil Kirk says, take another step and I'll kill you.
Right.
It's a reverse shot. And then also another instance that immediately comes up from Star Trek is the episode The Way to Eden.
Way to Eden, yes.
Yeah, when they're on the planet, there's also a moment where they're calling out, and then there's a shot of Kirk, and it's a reverse angle shot as well too. That's
true. It happens.
This is amazing, guys. It just occurred to me. So is Seed of Destruction basically just a blooper then?
Wow, I guess we could do a whole podcast on that, couldn't we? It could be. Right. Look at the hair. The part in the hair.
Part in my hair.
Yeah, it's just a reverse shot.
Right.
Interesting enough, talking about Seed of Destruction, they did reuse this part of that set for this episode, and that was part of the ship, the derelict ship. They used that. They used also what was it? The scan. Well, we were talking about the scanner, but also the screen that was in the AB Chrysalis that was reused as well too.
The Golos Life Support Center and the Exiles, that was used in this one too. Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah,
and then also the equipment from the Emporium from the Tabor ship. Some of the equipment was reused for the controls. Mm-hmm. One of my nitpicks is, and all the shows do it, obviously, and you kind of have to let it go because they speak English, but having it numbered is a huge pet peeve. They should have gone in a little bit of a different direction, maybe done a color code or something. That's something that was kind of an overlook. That's all good.
Well, Warren mentioned earlier about we get what we could have gotten back then, and you mentioned the soundtrack was released on Barry Gray's score for season 1 was released on LP back in the day, and we got that one.
And 8-track.
Yeah, 8-track. Yeah, I had the record. Yeah, they're 8-track.
Record and the 8-track. Yeah.
Season 2, for the longest time, never had a soundtrack, and I've got an interesting story if you guys want to hear it. I've got a an interesting story about Derek Wadsworth, the composer for season 2. And let's face it, that was a big music change from season 1 that was more orchestral, and Barry Gray and stuff, who had done a lot of Jerry Anderson shows. We know that. And he was a great composer, to Derek Wadsworth. So I liked the music from season 2. It seemed to fit the show because it was, again, first music I heard, first season I saw was season 2. So, but I think it fit what was going on. He did get a little wild, especially with the see, now the titles escape me, where the androids are wanting them to commit violence. What's the name of that episode?
Oh, One Moment of Humanity.
Yeah. When he gets into the jazz dance and stuff, that's kind of crazy. As a kid, I'm like, what's going on here? This is jazz. So, but Derek Wadsworth, I did like it. I found another album by him years ago called Pathfinder, where it's just incidental music that he wrote for corporate films and stuff. And if you listen to it, it sounds a lot like Space 1999 music because it was recorded about the same era. I can send you a link for you guys if you never heard it. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
but it sounds great. I'll send it to you. But he worked with a lot of musicians and stuff. So Derek Wadsworth had done a lot of work in orchestrating music and stuff for a lot of pop and rock people over the years. But I wanted to interview him once, and I got to do it, and I got a hold of him and through an email, and I emailed him many years ago, and he got back with me and appreciated my kind words about being a fan of his work, and I liked his music for the show. And I said, well, listen, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I said, would there be a way to get an autograph from you possibly, Mr. Wadsworth? He goes, well, yeah. He goes, you know what? Tell you what I'm going to do. You seem to be a fan of my work. I'm going to put together a season 2 CD for you of the music of the show. And I'm going to send it to you, and I'm going to autograph the CD and mail it to you. What's your mailing address? I'm like, well, I was like Fred Sanford, I was having a heart attack. I'm like, oh, it's the big one. I can't believe you're doing that for me. But it was great. And I'm glad. And he was true to his word, about a week or two. I got that in the mail. Wow. And with his phone number. So I had his phone number, and him and I carried on a long distance pen pal friendship there for a little while. And he asked a favor for me once. I said, well, what? I said, a favor for Derek Wadsworth, short of killing anybody, Mr. Wadsworth, what would you like me to do? He said, well, listen, I'm having a problem with my royalties from Space 1999 because of all the years in syndication. It seemed to have ran longer than I was told. And I think that they were trying to, I wasn't getting paid for working on the show for the reruns, for the syndication that they did. He says, can you compile, would you mind, Barry, putting a list together of the stations that you watched it on as a kid, the years it was on, maybe the times it was on and how many times it aired, as much as you can. And I have a weird X-Men mutant ability of remembering every theater that I've seen a movie in. I remember when the shows were on when I was a kid. I can't remember what I ate for lunch on Thursday, but I can remember all these things about growing up because it was important to me. Yeah. So I compiled this big list for him of when I saw the show and everything, and I sent it to him, and he was very appreciative. And I don't know if that helped him out with what he was trying to do or anything. I didn't read any much more about that because I don't know, guys, about 6 or 7 months after I did that, he passed away, and I didn't hear anything else from him. So there's my Derek Wadsworth story for you. I thought it was very interesting. I was really glad to get to know him, even though it was through, a long distance type talking, and I hope I was able to help him out. So that was great.
No, thanks for sharing that. And that's to have something that personalized from him, not only the autograph, but just that he took the time to put together a CD of his work from the series like that.
Not only did he do that, you know what he included, and didn't even tell me he was going to do it. He included the music from The Day After Tomorrow Beyond Infinity as well as part of the group of music.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So, I had read
what
that.
Year would that have been? Sorry, that he sent you that CD. Do you remember what year?
Oh, I think it was like probably a year or two before he passed away is when we were kind of corresponding with all of that. And it was I know they've since released the season 2 on a great stereo hi-fi sound of it. So, which I'm glad they did. But it was probably almost 2 years before he passed away, a year and a half, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look at that.
Huh.
But
sorry, Roy.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, I remember him being interviewed and him saying that when he was scoring 1999, especially for the main title, he was really trying to get something that was really, grand and epic. And in his mind, and I would have to agree because it's one of my all-time favorites, he was referencing Hawaii Five-0 from, back in 1968 to 1980, that was like one of the greatest, themes. And he was really trying to go for something, grand like that. And in my opinion, I mean, I really feel that, year two music really, the music that he composed for the series really, really does work. I mean, they did do an experiment with the release of doing the Seeds of Destruction and using Barry Gray's music as putting it with that. It works, but it's interesting how music really can set the tone, and it can really, in some cases, really change the overall feeling of an episode or of a movie, and how much it really depends upon it. And his music definitely worked for year two, in our opinion.
For sure. And I would like to have heard what he could have come up with season three. Had there been a season three, would it have been changed or adapted or changed a little bit or updated or something? That would have been nice. There's an opening shot in the Metamorph of after the teaser's already played, and then we come back and we show Psychon and the
volcanoes going up.
Volcanoes. There's a slow version of the theme playing there, and it sounds like that might have been, maybe could that have been an alternate version of the main title or something? Because this is a really good piece of music there. Yeah.
Well, Missy just commented, I actually like the alternate year two theme better that is on the CD. I don't know why. And fortunately, with that CD release, we definitely get to hear the different variations, and his work really was really incredible.
I hope I helped him in some way. I really do. I don't know whatever happened after that. So
that's wonderful that you were able to maintain that level of friendship. That's great.
It really is.
Never had the chance to meet either Barry or Derek, unfortunately, but they were their contributions were so integral in both seasons. I'm a firm believer that I just stepped away for a second there, but I don't think I could envision year two any other way than I know the episode Roy's talking about Seed of Destruction they did on one of the Blu-ray releases, right?
And right, exactly.
It's out of place, right? And I think some of the latter two compilation films tried to do the same thing with Cosmic Princess and
and the Metamorph. They did the Metamorph and the Cosmic Princess together.
Yeah. And they tried to inject some of Barry's music there, and again, it just wasn't for me.
I mean, I didn't mind Sybil Danning's intro on those. I mean, that's a whole different thing. That's fine. It's okay with me. So
lawsuits aside,
but, yeah.
Hey,
well, let's admit it. If they used Barry Gray for season two from the beginning, we never would have known the difference. We're just doing Monday morning quarterbacking here. I mean, let's face it. They originally cast Peter Cushing as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they cast Alec Guinness as Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars. That was the original idea, but they switched it. And I'm like, and we would have never known the difference because they're two great British actors, but they did wind up doing good what they wound up doing. So yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's valid for sure. But I'll just sort of follow that up with I'm glad they did change the music, because with all the other changes, it's like it's a better fit overall. It's a better fit for what they were trying to inject with humor, with a little more lightheartedness, with a little more faster pace, right? I mean, Derek's music is, it's got that pulsating sort of beat to it at times that really drives the narrative, right?
Very much so. I teased on the air last Saturday that I'm coming on with you guys tonight on the air, and I came back from a commercial with the season 2 opening and played it on the radio as I came back on the air. So it was just driving, through the airwaves. It was great. It's real cool stuff. And I'll agree with Roy. Every time we do a what's your favorite TV show theme of all time, I pick Hawaii Five-0 every time. That's the best TV theme. I mean, a singing one is Gilligan's Island's great, but Hawaii Five-0 beats it hands down. It's a great theme for a TV show.
Years ago, we did Ross and I attempted it, and we weren't broadcasting on YouTube at the time. We were just doing Facebook, and we did television theme songs, and we got tossed off about 4 times because of, unfortunately, with the rights and everything. But Hawaii Five-0, I mean, like, we were saying, it just resonates. And they modified those themes over the 12 years, but the original theme, and not counting the pilot, I mean, the pilot had an extended, longer version.
Right.
But it just, and even the opening titles for that show were just
Oh,
were
yeah.
incredible.
The Ventures made a top 40 hit out of it. You know,
Yeah.
they went and made a radio hit out of it. And the new Hawaii Five-0, which I did not see, it was a newer show that came out, you know, just a few years ago. They kept the theme. Why would they change it? You know, it was great that they kept the old theme.
Yeah, exactly. In other tidbit about this episode, guys, which is really, really cool. Again, we were talking about this being a double up episode. This episode was filmed between August 6th and August 24th of 1976. So right now, at this time, 50 years ago, this episode was in production. So
Wow.
how cool is that? And we're talking about it here tonight. So that to me is just
Very
right.
cool.
It's the Mysterious Unknown Force year 2.
Very cool.
And to everybody out there in the Facebook land, this is why it's the continuing 50th anniversary. And it has been since 2023.
It has been, and I so knew we were going to hear about it on day one of that because of yeah. But here we are, and we're still going strong. So
I just feel like I feel old every time I think of, was I really watching Space 1999 50 years ago? Did I really see Jaws in the theater 50 years ago? I can't believe it, but I did. So yeah, you're right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It really
half
is.
century.
Yeah. But and a lot of David saying Hawaii Five-0 and Mission Impossible are the two best TV. Yes, Mission, absolutely. Yeah. And then there's the Martin Landau connection and Barbara Bain connection with that.
Schifrin.
Yep.
Yeah, love it. Can I just take 10 seconds and just give my vote for one of the best TV theme shows of all time, and that's Angelo Badalamenti, who did David Lynch's Twin Peaks.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's memorable, that's for sure. It's a memorable theme.
Absolutely.
But there's so many great TV hits and themes out there. And you guys, a lot of shows are missing a title sequence now. Why don't shows have title sequences?
I know, just a logo.
Yeah, I missed that.
BK, get me going on that. That is one of my pet peeves. And you know what? It's all about airtime and saving money. Yeah. I remember watching, and I'm not going up against, if anybody loves Murphy Brown, I think that was the first time I saw that done, where it was like there was no opening credits and they basically just went right in, and they had the credits, the titles being flashed on, but there's no theme. And for us, I mean, I'm I love 60s, 70s, 80s. There's some stuff in the 90s. I start falling off. I mean, there's things I've seen, from in the 2000s and the 10s and the 20s, but ask me about an actor or an actress, that did stuff in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s, and I've got your back. You start talking present day, and it's like I got hardly nothing.
Well,
it's not unheard of today. Yeah,
we're as much a part of the show as anything, right? And as far as triggering memories for all of us, it's somebody drops Beverly Hillbillies, right? What's the first thing you think of? Is the theme, the jingle, right?
Tells the story of the show. Gilligan's Island tells the story of the show. Two recent ones still have one. House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones both have great title sequences, and they do show them. I'm glad they got them. So some of them still have them, but the majority of them don't have them anymore.
Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
I think the first show I remember where I really noticed that it didn't have one, and it just seemed empty, was Lost, and that's probably already 25 years ago. It's just where it was a quick shot of the logo, and here's the word Lost coming at you, and that's it. And it was like the show was so good, especially the first season. It just that kept you wanting for more, right? So where's some music? Where's some who's starring in this and things like that.
So one of the people watching just put a message up that said to skip the title sequence of UFO is just a crime.
Oh, God.
That's true. Oh my God. You talk about such a catchy intro. I mean, it's groovy.
Which, I know your podcast is called This Episode, and that's something else. They did it in season 1 of Space 1999, this episode, and they'd show scenes of the show, and UFO would do it with the montage of the show itself. It would show different shots like that. But you guys are Jerry Anderson fans. I actually like one of the last shows that he did called Space Precinct was over here in America. I got to see it in syndication. It was a little hokey, but it had practical effects, and it did this episode, just like the first season of Space 1999 when it came on. I'm sure you guys saw it.
Yeah. That whole whole concept is
Whole Mission Impossible did that too.
I was just going to say, so
Yeah,
back up
that
to
was
Mission
going back to that.
Impossible, who Mission really perfected it.
Yes.
But then even fast forwarding, the new Battlestar Galactica also used the same concept. And Ron Moore went on in one of the commentaries saying that he drew inspiration from Space 1999's opening sequence.
I knew he had taste. That was great.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, aside from the fact that he had a character named Matthias, and there was one other Easter egg in there too. I can't remember, but
right. Great.
Yeah, no, it's really good stuff. Yeah, one of the points I wanted to bring up too is the guest cast in this episode. We got to see Jeffrey Kassoon again as Dr. Ben Vincent. Jack Claff was back as a security guard. His first time was with Seated Destruction. He was back. And Petrov, this was the final time we get to see him. We got to see him in the Metamorph. We also got to see him in the Exiles because he was in weapons section. And then he says that they got attacked by the dangerous creature loose on Alpha. Incidentally, he was the husband of the costume. Was it the costume designer or no?
Emma
Porteous. Porteous. Yes, that was they were married. And no, she did casting. I'm sorry, she did casting. Quentin Pierre is a security guard. We get to see him. Also, Terry Walsh plays an Alphan that gets attacked by Maya, and he calls for and says that there's an emergency. We got to see him 2 other times that stand out. Once was in the Mark of Arcanon. He was the Eagle pilot that gets clobbered by Pask when he was going to pilot Eagle 3 to be on standby for Koenig and Maya. And he was also in the episode Journey to Where when they were back in time, and he was one of the Scotsmen that is trying to take off the watch off of Alan. And he kind of pulls it. Alan doesn't want to give up his watch, and he's trying to signal Alpha, and then he pulls out a knife, and then he puts it up to Carter, and then he has to give it up, and that was towards the end. So we got to see him. And then, of course, our friend Suzanne Heimer, Barbara Baines, stand-in for both year 1 and year 2. She's a nurse in this episode, and we get to see her when she's coming at the end to help get Maya out of the underground hangar.
Well, didn't a stuntman get hurt in medical center standing in for Alan in this one as well during a stunt that Alan that he couldn't do? I guess I read about that. I think
Yeah, because what happened was they had built a lower ceiling in the medical center for when basically the Maya turns into Mentor, and then this Alan is goes and then what happens, he takes him and then throws him. And Nick even told the story to Warren and I about this, that he really was against that being done because he was worried about the stunt guy. And what happened was the way he was thrown, he overcompensated, and he wound up breaking, I think, a couple teeth, and then also his jaw or something. So he did really get hurt badly.
The Psychon male, another reused costume right there of Mentors on that guy. So
wasn't it Dorzak's costume?
That was Dorzak's
right. Yeah, sorry, Dorzak. That's right. Yeah.
You see it in Dorzak. Yeah.
But I appreciate just in universe the little nod to previous continuity as well, right? With having Mentor, be one of the Maya shapeshifters, right?
Yeah.
So
Psychons were spiffy dressers.
They were very dapper.
Oh, and the other thing we get to see, which we haven't seen from year 1, is when they're in the underground hangar, we get to see in the background through the window, we get to see the stairway. There's a stairway that's in the back, and that was the stairway that was used for main mission. So that's in the background there too.
Great. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff.
Did we talk about the right before, when they trap the Maya creature in the elevator, they're in like a almost boy.
They call it an elevator. The security guard goes.
They do. I'm just thinking of that little area. It's just, it was a different set that again was so unique and refreshing in year 2 as opposed to the regular standard corridor. It's they're basically at the launch bay, right? Or they've come out of the travel tube and they're in like a little foyer area to go down into the hangar or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But are you talking about you're talking about the elevator, right?
Well,
Well,
yeah,
the
but
creature's
you see
banging on the door.
The eagle-shaped door, right?
Oh, you're talking about the airlock. Yes.
The airlock.
Yes.
Well,
He's
yeah.
banging on the door. Yeah. I
Yeah,
guess
he is. You're
it's a
absolutely
place
right.
where you go in and you depressurize maybe before you go out there, where there's no atmosphere. That's what I was thinking. Is that what it is?
They call
Yeah,
it like
because
an observation deck
Yeah.
or something, or
they're concerned because it's at the airlock area, and they said that they had the creature cornered at airlock 7. So they go there and it's pounding on it, and then they're saying if it gets through that, then it's going to get through to the outer door, then it's going to be explosive decompression. Alan says it'll wipe everybody out in the section, and that's why Helena opens the inner door. The creature goes in, the door closes, and then it's pounding on the outer door. And then what they do is they get she calls Ben to bring the anesthesia to try to knock it out, but then that doesn't work, and then it breaks through that outer door that I think you're referring to, Warren, and then it goes out onto the moon's surface.
I know it wasn't the same area, but was it the same type of thing was used? Wasn't Koenig trying to lure Baylor into that little room too, to throw him out into space in season 1 in End of Eternity? Because he walks into that little room, Koenig comes out, he smacks him, he goes out, and he goes, Alan, now, and he closes that door. That means he's in that little area, and then he's sucked out into space because they opened the door. I think it's the same type of room. Not the same place, but the same type of room, yeah.
Same premise, but it was a different, exactly. It's a different type of setup, and they actually have like the double doors that open in End of Eternity, and then Baylor's holding on and he gets sucked right out, and you've
got to have that safe room, to that buffer.
Basically that was the airlock, but Koenig took down the signs for it to say airlock.
It wasn't the airlock. I'm blanking, guys, but this is also why I don't go back and review the episode. So I'm just going from the last time I saw it, probably 3 years ago, but I'm waiting on somebody to chime in the comments. It's like the observation area. You can see the elevator in the background, but along the same wall, there's not a normal shaped elfin door. It's the shape of door you'd see on an eagle.
Well, that was the door that they used for the airlock door was like the door of an eagle. I agree with you that's what it for that.
Not the side pod door.
No.
But the interconnecting door between the the back of the command module.
Right, because we know the travel pods had
I know what you're talking about, Warren. I'm so sorry. You were talking about, yes. Okay, sorry. Now I got you. It just clicked. So that is
Suzanne's in that scene.
No, yes. Well, she's gonna be. What happens is Carter and Helena are in the travel tube, and then he calls to the launching area, and then that's when Jack Claff answers, and he says launching area, and he goes, "This is top priority alert, block travel tube tunnel 1 coming through," and then they get off, and then they were in a fight. Behind Jack Claff, when the security guy, there is a door that resembles the Eagle door, just like you said, and there's actually a sign above it, which I thought was kind of hokey. It says travel tube, or it says to Eagle 4, and it's like, when would you have like something up there? And it's like a permanent sign.
Yeah.
The creature goes through that door, and then after it combats the security guard and then the other people that are there, and it looks just like an eagle door. That's what you're referring to.
Whatever you do, don't ever dock another Eagle but Eagle 4 there.
I know.
That's everything else.
You're really limiting the choices here, BK.
Yeah, that's just one of my pet peeves with that. But I mean, and they even had I think they had a permanent sticker too. I think in Bringers of Wonder it even says travel tube to it says travel tube to Launchpad 4, which is more appropriate than saying travel tube to Eagle 4.
I just love the fact that our friend Jeff Rubel just summed up my lack of memory perfectly here in saying, I love all the discussion. We're so old. Ain't it great?
He's not wrong on anything. He's right about it all. It's true.
Yeah, but the best part of it is we knew exactly what you were talking about.
Boy.
In fact, you know what I'm going to do, Warren? Just for you,
you're gonna pull a still of it, aren't you? Yeah,
I am going.
And that's what I was talking about. That was such a cool, different set that you never saw again in year 2. Yeah,
Eagle 4, and it even says it right there. Eagle 4 boarding tube. Yeah. Eagle 4 boarding tube.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a wall they put together. It doesn't have any of the lighting panels or anything like that, but it was just different, right?
And the funny thing is, when those guys hit that wall, the wall shakes. And
yeah, it's blowing in the wind. Yeah.
Well, you also got one of the little lamps on the desk there. You know, the lamps
There is
that
a
are
Sorella
shining
there.
that are all over season 1, but I don't think they're in season 2, but they're sporadic. But there's a lot of them in Moonraker with James Bond. I mean, they're all over Moonraker, you know, as well. So a lot of stuff there.
And here's whoops, hang on one second. I'm trying to share this if I can get it to go here. There's Suzanne. She's playing the nurse.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that whole sequence was pretty cool.
Yeah. Have we talked about the scenes on the lunar surface, where I think you can see some of the lunar surface actually get kicked up by the moon buggy?
Yeah, and this is really the first we get to see the moon buggy in just for a moment in the Tabor, but this is really the second time and the main time we get to see it in year 2, and it's showcased. And then of course we see it in Bringers of Wonder Part 2. A lot of history. In fact, that vehicle, do you guys remember the banana splits?
For sure. And they use it in a second season of Buck Rogers, believe it or not. They blended it blue. They have a blue one in the second season of Buck Rogers. Yeah.
That slipped through my radar. Which episode was it in Buck Rogers in the second season?
Oh my goodness. Which one was it?
Because I was a Buck Rogers fan.
I may have to cheat and look it up because I can't. It's second. Talk about another show that changed with second season was Buck Rogers. You guys know that as well as I do.
Oh yeah.
It's the one that guest starred. I think it's the one with Gary Coleman, the first episode, the Cosmic Whiz Kid. I think it's in that episode. I think one of the robots outside of the complex that they're going to, and Buck's with the chick of the week. He's got the cute girl that week, like Kirk. And they're trying to escape. And one of the security robots that they have is just an actor in a gray robot mask. And he's driving one of the little moon buggies, and it's blue in the episode, I think. But it's one of them in Buck Rogers.
Is that a year 1?
That is a year 1 episode.
Sorry, you're right. It's in year 1 episode. That's right. It's later in year 1. But yeah, it was in Buck Rogers, and I'd forgotten about that.
That slipped through me. So that's very cool. Yeah. In fact, Gary Coleman was in, if I remember, I think he was in 2 episodes of that.
He was in a couple of year 1.
He was like at the end. He did I think it was Birthday for Buck. He was the other one. He was.
Yeah.
He did they were doing like the memory scan, and
he was from the 20th century too. He had thawed out. Yeah.
Yeah. Hieronymus Fox, I think.
Hieronymus.
What a lucky kid. Hey, he's on ABC's #1 sitcom, and calls somebody up and says, "Hey, I'd like to be in Buck Rogers," and boom, they make it happen.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And why they didn't let Mel Blanc at least one time in the episode go, "What you talking about, Buck?" That would have been really great.
Right?
No, I'm kidding. It would not have been great.
Suzanne Heimer, we're talking about. She was Barbara.
I like that idea.
Year 2 or year 1 and year 2 stand-in. Simon said the banana splits, we had that in the UK too, but very much cut down. Even by the mid 70s, it clearly belonged to a different age. Interesting enough, though, there was the group that manufactured that was actually out of Ontario, Canada. It was called the Beehoo Industries of Steltsville, and they did the vehicle, the amphibian vehicle, and it was actually designed in 1961. And of course repurposed, and it was a amphibious type vehicle, all terrain, 6-wheel drive.
Well, I think it worked in Space 1999. It was a vehicle they needed on the surface to run around in, and it served its purpose. It worked. We could tell when it was the radio controlled miniatures with the little Alphans in it. We could tell, but it was okay. It still worked.
Yep, absolutely. Dave Kaplan's out there. Hey, Dave, thanks for joining. Yes, and Suzanne, you're absolutely right, Dave. She did work on Star Maidens and with Lisa Harrow too.
I think David's a big Star Maidens fan because he commented earlier that some of Derek Wadsworth's music is actually from year 2 used in Star Maidens.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Very cool. Alexa says love Star Maidens too. Yeah.
A lot of fans. Catherine Bougeot is a big Star Maidens fan. You know, the one thing, fellas, that I also really appreciate about Space Warp is just the fact that it was really, really, there were some nice moments for both Helena and Alan.
Yeah.
And Helena in particular, who really didn't have a lot to do in year two, I felt, really, really stepped up to the plate here. But then, of course, Alan, we've all felt that Alan was highly underutilized throughout year two and wasn't even in every episode. So it was always fun to see him for sure. Right, Roy?
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember watching, and one of the first things would be when I would, after the opening teaser, because you had the opening credits and then you have the teaser in year two, when it would come back on, I would be looking, and if I only saw, featuring Tony Anhalt, I was like, Nick Tate's not mentioned, that means he's not in it. And Nick was in 18 out of the 24 episodes for year two. Tony Anhalt was in 23. The one episode he was not in was the AB Chrysalis.
Oh yeah.
And then of course there was the double up episodes.
But
and actually, you could really say 22 almost, because they did flashback footage for Devil's Planet. So Barbara Bain was not in that episode either. They utilized John Hugg, Elite Parsons, Ed Spencer for the Doctor.
Right.
So.
Right.
This might not work. I'm going to try this, but I did pull up the shot on Buck Rogers that the vehicle is on, and I'm going to try to show it to you guys on the screen here.
Of course.
Yes.
I mean, it's from the front, but it shows more of that in the show. But that is the shot of it. Buck Rogers.
You know it right away as soon as you see that profile. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why Alan wasn't used more in season two, and because he's a carryover from one, and I've heard that Nick Tate expressed his dismay in it as well. He's like, I wish I didn't have much to do in season two, and he was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, we're very fortunate because we've interviewed Nick many times, and he's been very open about and candid about what happened in regards to Space 1999. He's talked about it on DVD releases, and he's also talked about it on different shows. But yeah, he almost didn't even make it back to year two, and I'm just in hindsight, I'm just glad he did, because to me, Alan Carter was always a favorite. I mean, personally for me, I mean, I loved all the other members of the cast as well too, but Space 1999 would not have been the same without him. And it's a shame that Barry wasn't a part of it. And
Barry,
Paul,
pulled up Missy's comment about Xenia. Like Xenia was great in Space Warp as well. It was always a pleasure to see Xenia.
Nothing against Tony Anhalt, because he did a great job in the show with Roger Moore, was the Persuaders he was in.
Yep.
And I at one point thought Tony would have been a great James Bond at one point. Back in the early 70s, I think he could have pulled that off too. So he was a really kind of a dashing, leading looking guy.
100%. Yeah. But it just, I mean, I think in Tony Verdeschi's case, it was just, it was a little more about the writing, right? And they really, where they, adding a little bit of humor is one thing, right? But they really, for being the head of security, he was almost like comic relief, with the whole thing with his beer, and they really played, I think, a little too heavy on all that, and yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and in regards to Nick, a lot of those episodes, he wasn't going to be brought back. And a lot of the episodes, in fact, if you have the original, in the earlier novelizations, there's a character, Eagle pilot was Mark McKenlock, I think was the name. And he was going to be the chief Eagle pilot. And essentially what happened was, it was like on the 6th hour, or not the 6th hour, the 11th hour, as they say, that Nick pretty much was called in, had met with Freiberger, and he was told that, I guess, his son, and this is what Nick has said, he's told the story that Freddie Freiberger's, one of his favorite characters was Alan Carter, and that was the reason why he was being brought back. But he really wasn't featured a lot in those earlier episodes, like the Exiles. I mean, he's just in the Eagle. The Metamorph, obviously he's present. I mean, when they go to get, they're trying to rescue Bill Fraser and Torrance. Exiles, he wasn't much. One Moment of Humanity, not really that much. All That Glisters, he's a part of it. Journey to Where was great because it was him and
AB Chrysalis. He kind of loses his mind at one point and tries and cracks the seal in the alien bed. I'm like, that's very un-Alan like. He's kind of panicking there. I didn't like that either. So yeah.
And that was later. But what happened was the Tabor and then Journey to Where, or excuse me, Journey to Where, or All That Glisters, and then it was Journey to Where. Then what happened was the Tabor. He was only going to be in that one scene where basically the Emporium goes into hyperspace, and then what happens is Tony says in the episode, security get McGoogle and Frazier out on the surface to look for it. Originally, it was supposed to be Alan that was supposed to be going out there, and he was going to be in the moon buggy looking on there for like literally 20 seconds. And again, Nick has told the story where he basically saw the script and he was like, "I'm out of here." And they were like, "You can't do this." And then, he had some words with exchanges about it, saying, "Well, I can, because I'm not under contract," because he wasn't under contract like he was in year one. So what he did was he pretty much just, went with his, with Hazel, who would be his future wife, and they went to Austria. He went on holiday. And then his agent was trying to get in contact with them, and basically he wound up coming back after that. But pretty much was like, you can't fire me because I'm not under contract. But he was really upset, and these scripts had already been written. So then what they did was then they started featuring him in more of the episodes, and then the episodes he wasn't in when he wasn't appearing essentially were the double up episodes. That's where a lot of times we didn't see.
That's a bit of a raw deal. I'll agree with that. Nick Tate is great in everything I've seen him in other than 1999. Everything he wound up doing was good. He was on an episode of The Next Generation with Patrick Stewart. Yep. He was a great motion picture movie sound trailer voice for a long time. For a few
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a lot of great stuff. He's a great guy.
He was one of the top 5 voiceover movie guys in the country at one time. I mean, he was, in fact, there's a video that's shared on YouTube. You can check it out. And they're in a limousine, and they all are doing, it's great. It's great. If you haven't seen, obviously you've seen it.
I love that.
But no, we definitely love Nick, and we're so happy that he made it. But it was so sad though that Prentice, Clifton Jones, I mean, Barry, he got left behind. Barry was a huge one, my God. And then also even Suzanne. I mean, we lost her, Tanya Alexander. It was so casualties, and Xenia had left too, because
Anton was only 2 episodes.
Yeah, Anton was only in 2 episodes. He was mentioned in One Moment of Humanity, but he wasn't in the episode. He left because of the changes. Xenia had left. And that's when they brought in Yasko, who was Ray Austin's, girlfriend and wife, became wife.
Yeah.
And Matthias came across there in a couple episodes of first few episodes of season 2. Dr. Matthias from season 1, he crossed over a little bit too, didn't he? Yeah.
He was in the Metamorph and the Exiles, and then he was gone. He left. He was done. Yeah. So.
Just an explanation. I would have loved just an explanation in episode 1 where we've gone through a space warp. It's 5-6 years since the last episode of the last show, and Moonbase was damaged, and we had to compact command center into this small area. Victor Bergman had an airlock accident, and we lost several of them. Just a reference would have been good as a bridge. That would have been nice.
It's so easy looking back on it, and especially because in year 2 they came up with the trope of Helena Russell recording the log entry, right? It would have been so easy to do at the beginning of Metamorph, right? To bring the viewer up to speed. And
it was like Captain's Log that Kurt did, but I did like that edition of her log. That was nice.
And they actually had pages written in the Metamorph. It was in one of the earlier drafts where it's referenced about Victor being in a faulty spacesuit. They talked about Paul's character as well too, but then what they did was they didn't film it. And that's the other thing too. Tony Vadashi's original character's name was, I believe, Simon Hayes, if I remember. And again, it's in the if you look at the earlier novelizations, like I think it was Planets of Pearl. That's the first novelization that came out for that. Let's see. I saw that one comment. It was in regards to Anton Phillips leaving. It was because he wasn't happy the direction the show was going. Anton he talked about this during a panel discussion during 2 years ago in the UK. And it's just that it was a different type of environment. Not so much for the folks that were coming on for year 2, but I think the folks that were there during year 1 were really feeling it, because it's almost like if you haven't been a part of something, you really can't miss it. Kind of like even saying, a lot of folks see something, saying about you seeing year 2 and you didn't see year 1. that's kind of like all you knew. And with this, the folks that were in the year one and then they went to year two, the production team was different. So it was just that a lot of people weren't under contract like they were, and it was just a different dynamic. So it's unfortunate, but that's, but the good news is 50 years later, we're still talking about it, and they are on board with it, and they've been so supportive. Anton has been so wonderful as a guest, and he's been integral as far as the fans and the history of 1999, right, Warren, and things that are coming up, as is Nick. So we're very fortunate to be where we are.
What are you talking about, Roy? What are you talking about?
You guys are so lucky to have met as many cast members as you've met. I've only met Martin Landau back in the day when he came to Dragon Con in Atlanta, and he was a very nice guy. And the nostalgic pod blast, Chance, who's commenting in the section, actually has been on set with him on a film once, and had lunch with him, impromptu lunch with him, and they were just in a room together. And he's got a great story about that he could tell you sometimes. But yeah, very nice man. I've always been a fan of Martin Landau, always was, no matter what he was in.
No, same.
And I think it's funny that he was originally thought of as being Spock in Star Trek, and then and Leonard Nimoy became Spock. But then when Mission Impossible, when he left Mission Impossible, who fills in the gap for him when
Leonard
he left?
Nimoy.
Leonard Nimoy. So I thought that was really funny.
I was very fortunate to have met Martin Landau. I actually got to see him in a play that he did in Connecticut, and it was back in 2000. I want to say March of 2003, and it was called 16 Wounded, and it was incredible just to see him on stage performing, and then having had the opportunity just to speak with him and to meet him in person on several occasions. So yeah, we've been very blessed as far as our interactions with the different members of the cast of Space 1999, Warren and I.
Bela Lugosi and Ed Wood for Tim Burton using Rick Baker's makeup on there. You just got to point that out as one of the best things he ever did was Ed Wood and Bela Lugosi. He was fantastic.
It's interesting because as Roy was saying, we're very, very fortunate, and then of course we were privy to and so lucky to have gotten our hands on a lot of documentation from Martin, right? And old journals, and he documented everything, and he was a pack rat too, so he kept everything, all those old newspaper clippings, Roy, and things from clipping services, that you'd hire back in the 70s, before the internet, and you'd pay somebody to look for articles about you and send them to you, right?
Yeah.
So he was very proud, and like even if he had a particular magazine where he was mentioned inside somewhere, he'd write the page number on the front cover. And just
another scary thing about Space 1999 was Martin Landau's smile. He scared me sometimes when he would smile. Whoa.
It's interesting. Now is his name Chase? I'm sorry, is it Chase?
It's Chance. Yeah.
Chance.
Yeah.
I want to see the interview where Catherine Shell and Leonard Nimoy were in an interview together in New York City in 1977. That was in Starlog magazine. Actually, that was in Boston, and it was, I believe, 1976.
It was a morning show.
Here's an image of it that I have from that.
And it was in a magazine. I remember it from Canada, but it wasn't Starlog. Was it Starburst or something?
Was it like one of the knockoff magazines? I thought, or
I have been trying to track down that, the station that did it. I have some friends that are looking into it, and unfortunately, I think that interview is lost, and they just didn't keep them back then, and it's a shame because it would be something that would be so cool to see. So if I'm still looking for that, and if you come up with anything, please let us know, Chance, because I'm with you. It would be really great to say.
One more thing I wanted to bring up. I don't know how much longer you guys wanted to go. I wanted to not forget this, but when I got the first box set of the show that came out on DVD, they included a lot of extras. And, they included a lot of the tags where they would say, "Hey, I'm Martin Landau, and I'm Barbara Bain. Watch the show on blah blah blah." Well, I was very happy when I first got them because one of the tags that they do is for Channel 11 in Atlanta. They come on, they go, "Watch it on 11 Alive in Atlanta." I'm like, I remember that my tag is on there from Atlanta from when I used to watch it on television. And I thought that was great that they included that. And when the show came out on Blu-ray, in the remastered, I guys, I don't know if I'd ever seen the show like that ever. The colors, everything they did to make Space 1999 look so much better and cleaned it up and did whatever they did. The Blu-rays in 4K are really amazing to look at, like watching it for the first time.
Yeah,
it really was.
And that's where, we're going to be so
we're so excited about that.
I know. I was just going to say that, you're talking about the DVDs, BK. I even had the series on Laserdisc before that.
Yeah.
And we're just so thankful that virtually the entire series was released on Laserdisc. It cost me an arm and a leg back in the 90s. And the only 2 episodes that weren't released were Bringers of Wonder 1 and 2.
Right.
23 volumes, but that one was still held by CBS Fox, and they couldn't put it back
because of the rights
into the syndication package. Yeah, bugger.
There's so many people that have never heard of the show that are younger than me, and I go, hey, there's this little show called Space in 1999. If you like sci-fi, check it out. And mostly when they see it, they're like, that was pretty cool. They actually, a lot of the younger people like it, that I lead them toward to watch it. And it's nice hearing their feedback on that, they're discovering it. And
you know what? Even as what's Jeff saying?
I'm laughing about what Jeff is putting up because he said I like the fake one where Lando says I'm Sonny Tufts and Bane says and I'm Gloria Jean. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I believe it's on YouTube. It is hysterical, and they're just having a good time doing that promo. But it's like it's a fake promo, so to speak. But it's fun. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I think we're good. I was just going to say that it's interesting, even when you run into people our age, guys, that weren't fans of the show, how much of a memory it triggers when you say one of 3 things. I mean, if you're trying to talk to somebody who's not familiar with it, if you mention Maya, or if you mention Dragon's Domain, or you mention the Eagle and show them a picture, they'll go, oh yeah, I remember that. Even the casual viewer at the time, this show, somebody mentioned it even earlier in the contents, was such a part of the zeitgeist at the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It was, it just triggered something in so many people.
Shari just said, I had never even heard of the show when I was young. Don't know how I missed it. Thanks to Roy, I'm a fan now. Aw.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Shari. And just so great to see so many people out here tonight. Wow, we're still looking.
Yeah, this is great. This is a lot of fun.
BK, how are you doing? I mean, because these episodes can run
5, 6, 8 hours. No, we're just
no, I'm fine. I mean, I didn't get I was going to speak with you guys like maybe in the green room before we went on, just to make sure that I knew how you guys, because I'd watched a few of your podcasts already just to make sure that I'm like, I need to fit in and do the right thing for these guys, because I don't want to make them mad. So, but no, I'm fine. It's great.
This has been great. Hey, listen, but do us a favor and just tell us a little bit about what you do sort of in the off time. We see the WBHF logo back there. Just fill everybody in there.
Well, I went talk about watching television growing up. One of my favorite shows when I was younger was WKRP in Cincinnati. I watched that show. I loved it. And I said to myself, man, wouldn't it be great to work on the radio one day? Can people really be that crazy that works in radio? And then when I finally got into radio, when I was a senior in high school, I found out, yes, those people exist. Every one of those characters are at radio stations sometimes. I started a little station in Alabama in 1983 when I was a junior in high school, and on and off have been doing radio and commercial production work and doing voiceovers for commercials and things like that, just on and off till I wound up at a station in Cartersville, Georgia. We're a suburb of Atlanta. We're about 35 miles northwest of Atlanta in Cartersville, and it's WBHF. And I have a show called B.K.On-the-air every Saturday. And I said, there's so many things on radio. People are, it used to be when you had a podcast show only, people were like, oh, you have a podcast. And you're like, oh, and that guy over there, he's on radio. Radio's dead. Don't worry about that. Well, now for some reason, after so many years and podcasts have been going, and you tell people that you do a podcast and a live radio show on a radio station, they're like, oh, you're on radio. Really? Wow. That's like email compared to mailing a letter back in the day. It's flipped now. When you get a letter in the mail, it's impressive now. The emails are a dime a dozen. So I just thought, well, there's radio shows about self-help. There's radios about saving money. There's radio shows about sports. There's political radio talk shows. There's the radio talk show of just about everything, car repair. I said, I don't really see a lot of radio shows that do what I do, like nostalgic geekiness and talking about stuff that you liked and grew up with, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even today. Like in Atlanta, we've got so many movies being filmed here that we update everybody on that when that's going on. Superman's being filmed right now in downtown Atlanta for the past several months. They do Superman film. And several Marvel films were filmed all around us. In fact, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, most of every downtown shot of that city is in Cartersville, right there where my radio station is. They filmed it right outside our window at the time. So, but I just wanted to talk about what I'm passionate about. And the show is on 10 a.m. till noon live on Saturdays at WBHF. Some people are not near us to hear the radio signal, but you can stream us from our website, wbhfradio.org. You can download our app, which we have a WBHF radio app where you can listen to the show live there or listen to any of the podcasts. If you miss my show, we put it up there and you can hear the ones from a week or two ago or a year ago or wherever. Just go in there and look for it. And we also broadcast live. We have the podcast on iHeartRadio and on Spotify. You can find it out there if you just look for it. It's all over the place. But I just love it. And I'm a talk show. I'll take calls. I'll talk about something and people call in and we'll talk about it. Just like Warren said. He said, "Oh yeah, that show. I remember that show, and I didn't know it till you brought it up." And then they'll talk about it. So it's just 2 hours of fun. I call myself the retro radio rocket man of talk radio, and been doing it for several years now. So I don't see myself doing anything else. And I appreciate everybody. If you could just check in on me on Saturday, it would be great. And I'm talking about something you like. Call me up and say hi. I'd love to hear from you.
That's awesome.
I got a YouTube channel too, but there's nowhere near as much on it as you guys have. But I do upload a lot of stuff to YouTube as well. B.K.On-the-air.
No, you're doing fine. And one of the nice things with this broadcast, and it's just that interconnecting and people chiming in for the first time. And I've been following the comments. Everybody's like making a connection there, and it's just wonderful to be able to network like this and bring everybody together.
It's a great kick to hear someone is listening in Venezuela or Germany. I mean, it's like, hey, are you really listening from that far away? Are you one of the 12 listeners that listen to my show? That's great. I'm glad to hear that. But it's just a kick, and I've always loved it. Had a passion for it for years. And thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be here.
We're very happy to have you on, and you're in our wheelhouse of what we do. I mean, we've been doing this.
Thank you.
Warren and I had talked about doing something, Space 99 related for myself. And here's where I'm going to do my shameless plug, Warren. I have a show which is called Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner that I started it's coming up on 6.5 years. It'll be 6.5 years in October. It was right at the time of the pandemic. I do community theater. And in fact, that's how I met my wife. And, it's just have a passion for the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and just, all of this, sci-fi related, and even also, the non-sci-fi related. So I thought, what better way, especially when everything shut down, I had wanted to do a project. And I thought, what better way to bring people together, talk about sci-fi, television or movies, and to do it with a different co-host each week. And essentially that was the antithesis of how it all started. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of winged it. And basically one episode became 2, 3, 4. And just this in the last couple months, we just hit I think it was like 300. Well, the Brian Johnson episode where we did the tribute was the 311th episode that we did for the, which was appropriate. And I actually had the opportunity to interview Brian Johnson about 6 years ago too. But unfortunately with technology, sometimes things don't work out the way you want it. And some things I did lose because of Facebook, originally having the show on Facebook where folks could, tune in. But then I kind of, took it to the next level with YouTube. And it's broadcasting on both channels for that, but it's been a lot of fun, and it's just it's been like a safe zone just for folks to come on and then make it interactive, kind of like what we're doing, what Warren and I do with this. And my co-host who joined me about 6 years ago after having different folks on, it was somebody I reunited after almost 30 years. Ross and I hadn't spoken, just different life directions and everything. And, he was living in Philadelphia. He was in radio like yourself. He'd done, was in radio for over like 28 years, and he's into classical music and different types of music. And we basically came together, and then the episodes just kind of just went from there. But as Shari just commented, she said, so much fun, so much you can talk about. The three of you are great. So we really appreciate you being on with us, because I mean, again, there is a niche for this stuff, and it's, you
Thank
feel
goodness.
a lot of people are not into it, but then you know what? So many people are, and that, it's wonderful to be able to share our and connect with different folks. I mean, it all started for me with different, doing conventions, and then, you go to a convention and then you hear people, playing recordings of, sound effects from a Star Trek episode, and you're turning your head and you're like, wait a minute, I know that. And then they're talking about it. And I'll never forget that at a creation convention and back in 1986. And it made my head spin when I heard a sound effect of the Jupiter 2, and somebody was playing it. And then
you knew what it was immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. And now with the internet, how we all connect, and we connect, worldwide. And we've just been very fortunate to have, so many folks that love, especially Space 1999, Warren and I doing this, and meeting folks just like yourself, BK. So again, we applaud you for what you do, and thank you. And
thanks to both of you. Speaking of radio, Jeff is one of your commenters in the comment section. Is Jeff Ruby? Is he a regular? You guys know who Jeff Ruby is?
Jeff Rubel, yeah, he's a regular on both shows. Yep.
He typed in there. He said something like, "Just make sure I don't do a special during Thanksgiving and drop turkeys out of a helicopter." Like they did on WKRP. Funny you should say that. I'll tell you guys the story right quick. Hugh Wilson, who created WKRP in Cincinnati, he worked for a station in Atlanta, WQXI, and that's what the entire show is based on, is WQXI in Atlanta, Georgia, back in the 70s. And that all those incidences happened. The turkeys were thrown out of a truck at the time, and he just took all those stories and put them into the show, and it was all based on a local station in Atlanta. And Dr. Johnny Fever was based on a guy named Skinny Bobby Harper at WQXI. So it was nice to have that radio tie-in and talk about that. It was one of the best episodes of the show. It really was. We've never done that, by the way, but I'd like to do it at WBHF, but they won't let me.
Shari comments, and she said, BK, my grandfather was on the radio in Easton, Pennsylvania for 50 years. He only missed one day the whole 50 years. I used to go watch him as a little girl.
Look at that, hey?
In the window from downtown Easton.
That's great. The other thing, Roy, is our friend Captain Phil.
Captain Phil, yes.
Yeah.
He's in New York.
Yeah.
People that are in radio usually love it, and that's why they last so long and stick with it for such a long time. So,
how often is this episode on? We try to do it. We've been trying to do it every week, but then we kind of spaced it out a little bit. No pun intended. We've got one more before the Manchester 1999 event comes up, and it's only appropriate, right, Warren? Because we're going to be doing a special part 1 episode and then a part 2 episode for that, which will be the Bringers of Wonder. And again, we're in alignment, because when we do it, the Bringers of Wonder would have been filmed literally 50 years ago. So it's really cool with that.
If I'm in the rotation, all I ask is if just have me back for your 1999th episode. That would be so cool to be on that one.
Well, I don't know what we're going to do after we run out of episodes, Roy, because we're talking earlier. We're coming up on the home stretch here. We only got about 8 left, I think, right?
Yeah, we'll come up with something, Warren.
Oh, right. We were going to spin this into Babylon 5. That's right.
Truth be told, BK, I have only seen probably like one episode of Babylon 5, and it's on my to-do list, but my to-do list is like miles long, with a maw that could swallow a dozen starships.
Funny, same here. I'm a sci-fi fan, but when people find out, oh, didn't you watch so-and-so? I'm like, I didn't see every sci-fi show that was out. I couldn't watch every one of them. So I've missed a lot of them too. And I'm kind of going back and discovering some shows that I missed, thanks to streaming now. So it's all
yeah. I've got a lot of catching up to do, and it's just nice. And Andor is the big one that Warren is.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan, BK.
Oh yeah, big Star Wars fan. Not everything they did, kind of like Star Trek. Just so you slap Star Wars or Star Trek on it doesn't mean I'm going to love it. So, but yeah, overall, I'm a fan of Star Wars. Yes.
Did you watch the new Andor series? Then it was a prequel series to Rogue One.
See, I hate even saying this because I'm like, oh no, when I say this, it's not a popular opinion. I watched Rogue, and I watched Andor, And I got 5 episodes in and I said, I can't watch this anymore. I said, there's not really a lot happening. It's to me, now I'm only speaking for myself. So be kind in the comments, people, if you love the show. But I found it to be kind of boring, I said, well, I want a little Star Wars in my Star Wars, and I'm not getting any kind of Star Wars in this. I know it's a different type of show and everything. And I just could not get into Andor. So that's just one of them I couldn't get into.
And I've heard that it's definitely a love or hate thing with Andor. And
for sure.
I've heard that from several people that it wasn't, there's no lightsabers, there's no Jedi. So it's just, they felt it was lacking in some way.
Marianne said, I saw 2 Andor episodes and I got lost. Lots of laughs.
And I'm the king of unpopular opinions. When there's every now and then Twitter X, people will go on there and go, hey, what is your most unpopular opinion that everyone disagrees with you about? And I'm like, oh, I've got several of them. I'm like, I prefer Never Say Never Again over the Thunderball James Bond movies because I thought the Sean Connery Thunderball was a little long-winded and boring. I love the remake. I preferred Solo, a Star Wars story, over Andor. Over Rogue One. I liked Rogue One, but everyone hated Solo, and I never understood why. I thought it was a great movie directed by Ron Howard, and I liked it. Yep. So I've got a lot of unpopular opinions that I always tell when people ask me. So that's why I was scared when you asked me about Andor.
No, everything's a good opinion. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, we're not judgmental. I mean, and
if you like it, that's okay.
Exactly, and everybody's entitled to, and it's a shame about Solo. I think with Solo, I enjoyed Solo. It wasn't like my favorite movie, but I didn't hate it like so many people do.
It got a lot.
Had a bad rap. Now, Rogue One, I loved. I mean, it's one of my favorite. I like that better than the last 3 Star Wars movies that they
Don't get me wrong. I am very glad that next year we're going to get a release of Star Wars that's the theatrical version, unaltered. And I do call the special editions altered versions because they are. Those movies were like old friends of mine. When you start changing things of my friends and it doesn't look the way I remember, the updated effects are great, but I thought they were a little out of place because I don't remember it that way. That's like when they took Star Trek, the original series, and digitally redid the effects in it, and it looked like a video game. I'm fine with the old effects. I grew up watching those. They were fine. The Enterprise was against a blue screen. I get it. It's okay. I knew when it was filmed, but that's the old fuddy-duddy in me, I guess. So
no,
I like it's fine.
For me, it's like it's okay to do the remastered effects, but don't destroy the originals. Don't put the originals in hiding. Don't make them.
The TOS releases had both versions, right?
They did.
Yes, thank goodness.
That's the
downside
difference to everything George Lucas did is that he refused to even acknowledge that the originals existed.
Right. Warren and Ray, you guys may know this. Someone on YouTube, I don't know who did it, but someone took a 1999 episode and replaced the black and white screens with color screens in it with CGI and replaced her Barbara Baines typewriter she was using in medical center in season 1 and put a computer keyboard in there. They did a lot of that. You guys recall that at all? Did someone?
Yes, he's a friend of ours.
I mean, I thought it was a cool idea. I mean, I didn't dislike it, but I'm like,
Dave did a great job with that. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Was it Dave?
I thought, I was pretty sure. Yeah, Dave.
I knew you guys would know who it was.
Cool. That was Dave. I'm not going to say his last name, but that was Dave.
Okay. Nice. We'll talk about that after.
Yeah. Now I just saw this comment.
I'm sorry.
Jay was saying I just screened prints of The Bringers of Wonder Parts 1 and 2 on 16mm film at the Stellar Fest convention in April this year. The audience loved it.
Chance has a lot of stuff on film. He has a lot of stuff on film.
He said, I saw it earlier that he even had a 16mm print of Space Warp. I'd love to see something like that.
So would I. That's awesome. Yeah. Space 2099. We've definitely heard about that. That's not going to happen, but we've heard about that. Marianne said she saw Rogue One yesterday. Solo was very good. Whatever happened to Kira at the end? Did she go back to Darth Maul?
I guess it's like how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop. The world may never know. I don't think they're ever going to follow up with that.
No, it's sad. It's fun. Rudum. I use a 65mm lens on my EK projectors with sound piped through a receiver and 5 speakers. I own most of the 99 series on reel-to-reel film. Wow, some prints are better than others. Holy mackerel!
And what's this fellow's name? Chase.
Chance.
Chance. We'll be talking.
Collector of film.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's so
Amazing.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember one at the convention in Burbank in 2012 where there was a 16 mil print of Another Time, Another Place on silent
Judy
auction.
was there. Judy Jason was there too.
Yeah, and everybody signed it. Like so it had Martin, it had Barbara, it had everybody on it, and Judy Jason. I wanted that thing, and I lost it by about $5, and I've never gotten over it.
Ouch. Yes, Jenny Cresswell. She was actually, and I'm sure you know this, Chance, because she was a background performer in season 2. And yeah, Alpha Actress was Han Solo's Cantina woman in Star Wars. Yep. She wound up on the cutting room floor, unfortunately. She was actually, unless I'm confusing her with somebody else, I think she was a game show hostess too, wasn't she? Or am I thinking of another actress that I think she might have been? But unfortunately, I don't think she's ever been to a 1999 con.
Well, it's amazing to tell my friends that don't know this just how many people in Space 1999 wound up in Star Wars. And some other places, you know, we know that. Yeah.
It's really, really remarkable.
It's in England. It's all filmed in England.
Yeah, and they were virtually year 2 in Star Wars was virtually being shot at the same time.
How much of UFO background props wound up on Pigs in Space and Muppet Show because they were in the same area. They were there.
All roads lead to the Muppets this week, I guess.
Yeah. Missy said this is so much fun because you all mentioned different shows, and some of them I remember. Never a boring discussion. Oh, thanks, Missy. Yeah, we love talking about this stuff. We can talk for hours and hours, and it's a lot of fun.
Roy, do you want to? Did you make some slides up for some shout outs or?
No, I don't. I'm good on that. Just Ross and I. I'm not sure when Ross and I are going to be back. We may be back. I don't think we're going to be doing a show this coming weekend. However, my plan is on either Friday, September 4th or Sunday, September 6th. I will be doing a show on Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner. That would be at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it'll be a celebration of the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. So it's going to be essentially an open-ended discussion. All are welcome to come on in the chat. And if you want to come on to discuss about maybe your favorite episode from the original series or anything you want to talk about from the original series with Star Trek turning 60, again, that I will be posting it on Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner on the Facebook page. And you can, of course, watch it on Facebook, or you can watch it on YouTube. And I will let everybody know. But that will be either Friday, September 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or September 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And Warren, we're going to be having we're going to be doing something on September 6th as well too. So we'll get to that. But thanks for the shout out opportunity.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's going to be a busy few weeks on this end with everything going on over the next month. Of course, with the big convention happening September 11th to 13th over in Manchester.
Yeah.
We'll all be gathering to celebrate yet another 50th anniversary convention. So yeah, coming up very quickly, and some great guests lined up. Of course, we've got Mr. Nick Tate, the aforementioned. We've got Suzanne coming on board. We've got Yasko, who's going to join us virtually from Japan. Mr. Anton Phillips, our dear friend, will be live and in person, as well as Carolyn Seymour, who we met last year in Los Angeles, and Christian Anhold, wonderful chap, son of Tony Anhold, of course. He joined us for a brief time in London. We're just so happy and thrilled to have Christian back. And Roy, didn't he have some cool things? He brought some actual props that his dad gave him as toys when he was a kid.
He did, and I have photos of him, and I wish I was better prepared. But yes, he had a Comlock, and he also had a stun gun, which was really cool to see. Yeah. Amazing. And of course, the exhibit room this time out, right? And everybody who was in London got to see this in person, this amazing creation from Mr. Daryl Simmons. And of course, Nick Tate back in command, right? Just an incredible moment for everybody.
the cameras just started to roll like crazy as soon as Nick donned that spacesuit and jumped back behind the controls there. So
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. The exhibit room in general is going to have a large selection of original props as well, from not just space, but other Anderson IPs as well, primarily UFO, as you can see here, as well as Terrahawks, Captain Scarlet, Space Precinct, I believe. You mentioned Space Precinct, BK.
Yeah.
So a lot of fun things going on this time out with the exhibit room in Manchester. Of course, that'll be at the Holiday Inn in Manchester Oldham, just outside of town, from the 11th to 13th. And you can get your tickets. They're almost sold out at www.space199950years.com. And we are, unfortunately, because we're at a little smaller facility this time out, we're going to have to cap our online ticket sales on Friday, September 4th. So this is the only way to guarantee you can get in, is to get a ticket in advance. There will be a short number, a small number available at the door to accommodate walk-in traffic, but very, very limited in quantities. So head on over to www.space199950years.com to guarantee your participation at Manchester next month.
Well, I'd love to be there. That sounds like a great convention. That's going to be great.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
A lot of fun. Roy, what's the other sort of dynamic that's happening now along with Manchester?
Well, there's a little fan film that's going to be filmed right prior to the convention, and it's called Return to Moonbase Alpha, and we're so excited about it. If you have been following back about 25 years ago, there was a fan film that had been conceived. In fact, it was included in the Blu-ray the Blu-ray release as well as the DVD release, and it was called Message from Moonbase Alpha. And essentially, this Return to Moonbase Alpha is like it's the next step after that, and it's like 25 years in the future. And I don't want to say anything more about it, but very excited about the production of that. And there's a lot of folks on board with this, and it's going to be very, very special. So I'll leave it at that, unless you want to add to that, Warren.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Of course, this really all ramped up this year. We've been working on it for a few years, of course, behind the scenes. But back in April is when we really went full bore with creating awareness for the project through the Kickstarter. And of course, that's really solidified that this is actually going to happen now. And we're in production. So we've actually already commenced some special effects, visual effects work over in the UK. And we'll be doing, of course, our live action shoot while we're all together in Manchester. So very, very exciting.
Yeah, I'm gonna lie about that. I'm excited about that myself. It's looking great. I'm excited about it.
Thank you. Yeah, and of course the image I brought up earlier is this went viral here just a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
BK, and everybody's so excited at the prospect of Alan Carter, back in command of Eagle One after all these years, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun, and for as much as Message, I think over the years has sort of been considered as a canon and the official 49th episode, we're hoping and could only be so lucky to have Return to Moonbase Alpha considered episode 50. We'll see.
For the 50th anniversary, too.
Yeah.
What a show. When I found out that the new moon base that we're thinking about building on the moon that's coming up, I know you guys heard about it. They're going to call it Moonbase Alpha. What else can you say?
Yeah, you talk about a wonderful nod.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty, and well, we've even talked about this, the coincidence in launching our Kickstarter the same day that NASA went back to the moon in reality, right? With Artemis, it was so freaky the way everything fell into place. So we're all gearing up, and of course we'll have some updates right from Manchester on the filming of Return to Moonbase Alpha, the continuation of the series. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
BK, we'll have to look at having a U.S. premiere next year. We'd love to have you.
Wow, if there's any way I can do it, I'd love to do it. That would be fantastic. I'll bring my lunchbox.
Absolutely.
Literally.
I'll
That's awesome.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, listen, fellas, we're approaching 2 hours.
Yeah, this was wonderful. And
Really?
again, yeah, and that's when you know it was fun, because when it goes that fast,
When it goes that fast and I'm not watching the clock, it's like it's been
Yeah.
a great segment. So
That's
it's
great. Yeah.
thank
Time
you very
flies.
much again for everything, and thank you to everybody who tuned in today. Just amazing numbers out there.
Yep,
in
we appreciate it.
The stratosphere. Just so everybody be watching. We are going to do a show in 2 weeks, live from Manchester. We'll be covering, and Roy, you'll still be back in the US, but I'll already be over there with my sister Heather, and we're going to be with a few people on the Sunday. It'll be the 6th, right, Roy?
It'll be the 6th. Yep.
Yeah. So we're not sure of the time yet and how it's going to work out. I'll have to get there and get settled, but we'll figure something out. We'll probably see our friend Daryl on there and a few others talking about Bringers of Wonder Part 1.
Yeah. Can't wait.
A great one as well. So, no, listen, Roy, BK, thank you very much again. This has been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Warren, and thank you, BK. We'll definitely like to have you back, and I'd like to have you on Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner at some point too. I think that.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it like you wouldn't believe. And Roy, anytime, you guys know how to get a hold of me now. So anytime you're ready, I'll always make room, and I will share stuff. I'll share the stuff on social media, and we'll help each other out. And I think it'll be great because we're a great community. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Couldn't have said it better.
The same.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Have a
All
great
right.
night.
Everybody out there, have a good night. Okay. Live long and prosper. All roads lead to the Muppets or Star Trek. We're not sure.
It's a good place to go.
Yeah. All right. See you, everybody.
See ya.